All right, is it time? Am I ready? Is it ready? Are we ready? Are we prepared? All right.
All right. Okay. Hold on. I gotta ask you before anything else.
Yes.
Rate it 1 to 10.
I would rate it 7.5 out of 10, and the animation hard carries it.
Okay. So, why? Why is it so bad? Because to me, it just looks like, dude, remember OG Last Airbender? That shit was so good. Here's more.
I wouldn't even say that, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so let me do this right, okay? So, Avatar, The Last Airbender, the movie that was supposed to release in October, got leaked earlier this month on 4chan across Twitter, and there is a lot to go into even just by the leak alone. So look, I did watch it in its entirety, and I see a lot of talk and a lot of conversation about, just ignore this, you're disrespecting the animators by doing this. I'm gonna get into all that in piecemeal. So just to start and tell the story of how this even happened, somebody on Twitter, and I have an article here that kind of goes into more detail, someone on Twitter decided to do a little bit of trolling and post 2 clips from the movie on their Twitter and just say that, hey, I got the movie here, haha, funny, literally did not intend to even release it. However, the next day, a second person, disconnected from this person, leaked it in full on 4chan. So, it is, I have this article here that kind of goes into more detail and exactly how this leak even happened. So, the anonymous social media user that leaked the clips, to begin with, said, quote, I saw it's just a Paramount Plus thing, so I decided to troll a little bit. And he resisted bowing to pressure from people who want to see the movie in its entirety, but it soon surfaced on platforms like 4chan and Twitter, where it continues to be distributed. The leaker claims he never planned to post the entire movie, not necessarily out of respect to Paramount, but because it's a jackass thing to do to the animators, many of whom have implored fans not to pirate The Legend of Aang The Last Airbender since it was leaked by the group known as Pego Crew. Okay, I'm going to stop here and explain something, or at least explain how I feel. I do agree that this is disrespectful to the animators to see this movie before it was meant to be released. I do sympathize with that. What I think is more disrespectful is on Paramount's part by revoking the theatrical release that this was supposed to have, because honestly, if you watch it, this had a fucking theatrical budget, holy shit, to just drop it on Paramount Plus on their fucking bullshit streaming app, as this does go down a little further, and Paramount has not officially responded to the situation, although there is this article here also does have quotes from Paramount saying that, quote, Paramount has conducted an investigation into the incident. As part of the ongoing probe, the company eliminated the possibility that the leak was caused by a vulnerability in its systems, sources familiar with the situation tell Hollywood Reporter. Clips of the movie on Twitter are still being taken down through copyright takedown processes. The origin of the video that the first leaker received is unclear. It's a recording of the movie, meaning there were security measures in place to prevent unauthorized downloading. The version of the film that was ultimately pirated across the internet was a high-quality file, and we're talking 4K. This was a 4K, ripped straight from Paramount servers, practically, potentially indicating a breach of systems maintained by those that worked on the movie. Now, that is a very loaded, end of the sentence, because Paramount, the investigation's still ongoing, but they're kind of implying that this was leaked by somebody who worked on the movie. I don't believe that's the case, and I'm going to explain that in a bit. That being said, though, they do say that this was a hack. I think Paramount fucked this movie 100% by not releasing it on theaters the way they should have, because it is genuinely visually very good. It's visually fantastic. It is the best animated movie I've ever seen. The fight choreography was incredible, better than the original series in my opinion. It was genuinely very, very, very cool to see. You can tell that it was a labor of love by those that worked on it, and I do genuinely feel terrible that this happened. I feel genuinely terrible that all this happened to them, because they deserve to fucking have their work be shown on the big screen. I would, especially if it was an IMAX release, this would have been fucking insane. Now to talk about the leak itself. So, as they said, the first leaker had cam rips, basically. So whatever thing that they were doing was just video to the screen, they couldn't download it. However, the video file that was shared is a high quality rip, to say nonetheless. So how could that have happened? As the trade says, the investigation believes that this was an inside job by one of the, by one of the staff of the movie. I don't think that's the case. I think what happened is that somebody in Paramount, somebody like a high-level executive, has an axe to grind against the Avatar Studios. Because I'm going to tell you guys a story here. It's going to be very schizophrenic, but let me tell you a story, okay?
All right, buddy. Okay. All right. Listen.
Just grab some popcorn,
Listen. Hold on. If you want to know where I'm at on the believability to Alberto Archie Cofium scale, we're about in the middle.
Okay. I have nowhere to go but down.
Okay, fine. Go ahead and share your schizo theory.
All right. Okay. So listen. Back when Korra was airing, when the third season was about to be released, the first 3 episodes were also leaked. And Nickelodeon had to basically scramble, release the rest of the season early on, like, cable. And they weren't prepared to do that. So when they rushed it out, obviously the numbers and the viewing took a pretty big hit. And as a result of that, they then, while the season was still airing, by the way, they pulled it from cable, and they said that the rest of season 3 and all of season 4 are going to be released only on the Nickelodeon website. So whatever was going on here took a massive fucking just club to the knees of this entire fucking project. Now, it is a known thing that executives in the entertainment industry do have personal, they do champion projects on their own, and a lot of times they are the reason why certain things move forward is because one of the executives just genuinely took a shine to the person or the project itself and really championed it. I believe what happened was that this individual executive that, again, I have no proof of this, I'm just throwing a possibility out here. I think that this executive really championed the show, really put their ass on the line for this, and then when Korra was airing, it just got buried. And from that point on, they had a personal gripe against Korra and the Avatar series as a whole, and now, to this day, they really are just trying to sabotage it. Again, do I have any proof of this? No. All I can tell you is that this is a known thing that does happen in the industry.
So I'm still, sitting at, a middle, because, I can partially believe, specifically the stuff about, the executive championing and specifically, executive sabotage or finding a way to internally leak. But otherwise, I mean, the part that's just not believable to me, really, is, why, though? Because that executive would risk getting fired, and then they would probably never be able to work again.
Of course.
But I don't know.
Of course. That's, the thing is that, where is it? I could have seen here. So, also, the report from Paramount did say that this was not,
this was not a data breach.
This was not a data breach. This was an internal thing. But also, the report also says that the decision to skip theaters was not a reflection of the quality of the movie, but it was a business decision to make all animated content from Avatar Studios exclusive to Paramount Plus, which is bullshit.
Is the dumbest
for one thing. It's so fucking stupid. Here's the thing. I understand the thought process that led to this, because the reason why they even decided to give blank checks to Mike and Brian, the creators of Avatar, was because that, even before COVID hit, Avatar and Korra blew up on streaming services, around 2018, 2019. So that's when Paramount just decided okay, make more shit, brother. Here's some blank checks. Go have fun. And we'll come back to you in a couple of years to see what you're doing. So the decision to put it only on streaming does reflect that thought process. But again, the other aspect that I haven't said to about my personal conspiracy theory is why this leak even happened, regardless of who leaked it, was more so that I believe Mike and Brian were trying to negotiate with Paramount to give the movie a limited theatrical release, just so that something could happen as a result, just so that it could be seen the way it should have been, even in a very small window of time. And then, again, if we're sticking to the executive theory, perhaps he had some guys on the inside, maybe the talks were going a bit too well for his liking, and then released it to kneecap their talks. Do I know that for a fact? No. I'm just saying that, the whole thing is just very bizarre. And on top of the fact that, the movie is supposed to be released, October 6th, despite the fact that the crew, even, not even Mike and Brian, just the lower level crew, were all insisting that that's a tentative release date. So that's why I think that Mike and Brian were trying to negotiate with Paramount. This leak not only kneecaps the movie's release, it kneecaps all future projects that have not been in work, because it's going to be a very funny thing to talk about, but they intended for this movie to be, the first of a trilogy, which, I mean... Ugh. Ay, ay, ay.
Well, let me ask you okay. So we've talked a lot about the politics behind this and the conspiracy theories. Okay. So, like, if we were to remove the animation, would you give this movie like a 4?
5.
5. Okay. So, where is the writing problem? Where is it? What is the culprit? Like,
Okay.
How bad are we talking here? Where is the 9/11?
The problem isn't even with anything specific, in my opinion. It's the same problem that Korra had, actually. The thing is that they kind of removed all of the mysticism behind the series and just kind of made this, like, generic fantasy stuff, especially in regards to the spirit world. But I think maybe I should save that for, like, the bigger talks. Because normally I wouldn't spoil the leaked movie, but, like, I have to tell you guys about the fucking plot, because the plot drove me fucking insane. But you know what? On top of the writing, though, I'm going to pinpoint this actually. So they made a big deal about the fact that, oh, we have all the original crew from the original Last Airbender series. That's technically true, but they are missing one guy. There's one guy that they're missing. His name is Aaron Ahaz, and he was the head writer of Last Airbender. And after Last Airbender finished, he left Nickelodeon and all that, and he developed his own series that actually is very, like, reminiscent of Avatar, especially the spiritual stuff, and that's a series called The Dragon Prince. It's on Netflix. Jack DeSena, Sokka, plays the main character. I haven't really watched it, but I have heard nothing but good things about it. And I'm gonna be real with you guys, he's the secret sauce of the series. The fact that he's not there, like, actually did, like, curtail it.
That's incredibly funny. The fact that one guy basically is the core reason that this shit worked is so funny to me.
No, it really is, because, like, he wrote the majority of, like, the best episodes of the series, and he really, like, kept the other writers in check, even Mike and Brian, because, look, I did see a pretty good analysis on Twitter of someone saying that, like, perhaps back in the day when they first made Avatar, they were, like, more into the whole, like, Asian spirituality and mysticism behind it all, but as time went on, they just sort of dropped that, and you can definitely see that in Korra. Unfortunately, you can see that here in this movie as well. Yeah, it sucks. All of it sucks, and listen, they gotta fucking throw as many fat stacks as possible at Aaron Ahaz to get him to come back, because Jesus fucking Christ. I really...
I mean, Alberto, you're so nice to things. You're so kind. Bro, if I watched this shit, I'd probably rip it apart.
No, you would. No. Don't worry. I'm gonna do my part when we actually talk about spoilers. But that being said, though, the movie genuinely fantastic. The animation is, even if you don't care for the story, you will be impressed by the animation alone. When I said animation hard carries that, I really do mean it. Now, okay, you know what? Now is the time. Now's the time. So, right up top here, there's going to be a timestamp for you to skip to if you don't want to hear spoilers. Audio only's maybe like 8 minutes ahead. Skip 8 minutes ahead.